I saw on Facebook. He said she was home. So that's it.
Good morning. Good morning. Great group, wow. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Venice, known to us as UUCOV. My name's Eileen Leapley, and I'm honored to be your worship associate this morning. Whether it's your first time with us or your 100th time, we hope you will find here at UUCOV ideas that speak to you, people who befriend you, and liberal religious values that challenge you to join us in living justly, loving boldly, and welcoming radically. If anyone is here for the first time and feels comfortable doing so, we'd love you to stand up and just tell us your name and where you're from. And if you don't feel comfortable doing it, it's fine as well. Oh, he feels comfortable. Wait, we'll get the microphone over. This is Tom.
Thank you. My name is Tom Connor. I'm from Michigan. I'm mindful of the fact that you should be wary handing a live mic to an English teacher. So I'll keep this brief. 40 years English teacher, high school in Michigan. 50-some years jazz pianist as a concurrent profession. Lived in Venice 14 years now. First 7 back and forth to Michigan, the last 7 full-time. Here in Venice, I play a lot of tennis, like to jog, and volunteer as a tutor at Venice Middle School. And I live in Waterford, and I've often driven by and seen the sign. I thought, I've never heard of that group before, and I should stop in someday. Well, it's been several years down the road. And I was looking at your newsletter, and I saw you had Buddhist folks coming in on a couple of days a week. I thought, I got to go in and see what these folks are about. So chairs are comfortable, and thanks for pointing me out.
Well, we're so glad that you decided to come. And jazz pianist, Lisa. And that's our only visitor, I believe, today. If anyone's leaving for the north this week, if you want to raise your hand so we can say goodbye to you, sadly. Steve and I are going to be leaving Friday, so this will be our last Sunday for a couple of months, but we are just going to be a phone call away, so just give us a call if you need us. Many of you are watching from home online. We miss you too, and we can't wait to see you back in person. And remember, if the Spirit moves you, you can always hit the donate button on our website, ucov.org. Last week, Dave Lyon brought back the minute or two to welcome your neighbor, and we all seem to enjoy that. So take a moment or two to just say hi to someone you may or may not know.
You kicked me out. Oh, good. Are you going to tune into that?
You can continue those conversations after the service. Now it's time for announcements. Rosemary Hagan's Celebration of Life service will be held this Tuesday, June 25th at 10 a.m. at the Sarasota UU Church on Fruitville Road. If anyone needs a ride, please see me on the lanai after the service. Or you can call me today, and we probably will be able to get a ride for you. Cindy Bauman's Death and Grief Support Group will meet this Wednesday at 1:30, but this week it will not be at Waters Hall. It's going to be in a different location. Cindy, raise your hand or stand up. If you plan on going to Cindy's group, see her at the back of the sanctuary at the end of the service, and she'll give you instructions on where the meeting will be, just for this Wednesday.
And that's with the transitions group also being welcome.
Yes.
Yes, the transitions group is welcome also to join Cindy's group in Roxy's absence. Let's see. Oh, another important announcement, our road here is going to be paved on Wednesday and Thursday this week. So the campus will be closed. That's the reason why Cindy's group is being moved. So don't come on campus Wednesday or Thursday because you'll get your wheels stuck in the tar, whatever. We're now entering a sacred space. So please silence your electronic devices. We'll do our chalice lighting. Maybe. Ooh. All right. These words are by Kimberly Ann Tomzak Carlson. Recognizing the beauty around us and within us in voice and spirit, we gather to light our chalice. May we savor the beauty of our abundance and diversity, always cherishing one another and our earth. May we remember to inhale the lushness in life, knowing that we are a people of beauty. We begin our service with the prelude. We have a very special guest today who's going to deliver a sermon on the beauty all around us. It's our friend Dick Smith, but I'm going to introduce him more in a little bit. For now, our gathering hymn is number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth, all 4 verses. Please stand in body or spirit, and we can sing together.
Stars.
Reverend Amy has taught us that offering words are given with levity, as giving should not hurt. She's also told me that she has not spoken these offering words before, so here goes. 3 Unitarian women die, and surprise, they all find themselves at the pearly gates. Even more surprising, St. Peter meets them, and he says, "Welcome to heaven. We have one rule here in heaven: don't step on the ducks." So, the 3 women enter heaven, and there are ducks all over the place. It's almost impossible not to step on a duck. And although they try their very best to avoid them, the first woman accidentally steps on a duck. Along comes St. Peter with the ugliest man she has ever seen. St. Peter chains them together and says, "Your punishment for stepping on a duck is to spend eternity chained to this man." The next day, the second woman, although she tries hard not to, accidentally steps on a duck, and along comes St. Peter. With him is another extremely ugly man, even worse than the first one. He chains them together with the same admonishment as for the first woman. The third woman has observed all of this, and she is very careful where she steps. She manages to go for many months without stepping on a duck. One day, St. Peter comes up to her with the most handsome man she has ever laid eyes on. St. Peter chains them together. The happy woman says, "I wonder what I did to deserve being chained to you for all eternity." The man says, "I don't know what you did, but I stepped on a duck." I hope you didn't hear that before, because I love that one. This morning's offering will now be given and gratefully received. Thank you all for your generosity. We greatly appreciate your time, your talent, and your treasure. Now we are at the part of our service where we share our celebrations and sorrows. Please raise your hand, and Jean Barlow will come with a microphone, and please share briefly and with permission.
I just wanted to let those of you know who know Lynn Jordan that she has 4 more days down in this part of the world, and then her son and her daughter. One is dragging her accoutrement home behind him in a large van or something like that, and her daughter is flying back with her. She's right now, as she has been for the last month and for months before, she's right now at Sarasota Memorial's rehab center on Rand. And she has a cell phone which is listed in our directory as UUCOV's. And Eileen said to me it would be a good thing if I let you know that she's going to keep that cell phone with her, and she would love to hear from any of you who would like to call her in the next few months. She's planning to look online at our services and stay in touch. She said she would miss UUCOV the most.
This is convenient. I'm Brad Harden, and I have a joy that Dave Lyon brought to my attention. We have a very exciting new football player coming to Venice High School this year, but I do have a concern. It's about the election, of course. And there are a couple of good things that have happened about that, though. Serena and Rich Canarelli had a wonderful event last week where we had the candidates from the school board come and give us some really good talk. And I had a letter published in the Gondolier yesterday, which was really a breakthrough. I was beginning to worry very much if the editors were going to withhold information from the public. And I'm not going to tell any more about it now, but there'll be an email coming out next week to talk about all the things that we can do to try to help for the election. So I am extremely relieved to see that the editor from the Gondolier chose to do something that was a little unusual. I hope they got your interest, and I'll tell you more about it in an email.
Thank you. That's great. Hi, I'm Fran Vanisek. I may be with you next Sunday, but just in case I'm not, I want to say goodbye. I've loved this congregation for more than 20 years, but I decided to move up north closer to more of my family. So as I deteriorate, it doesn't all fall on my daughter, Jean. So I'm moving up, not this Monday, the Monday following, and I will never forget you, even the ones that I never really met, because we share the same ardor for justice and peace. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. We'll miss you, Fran. Safe travels. Anyone else?
Anna.
Oh, yes, please. Hi, Anna.
Hi, everyone. I'm sad to say that last weekend my beloved sister passed.
Oh,
So, thank you.
wow. Anyone else? I have a concern, but also a celebration. Pam Palmer was in the hospital last week with a heart issue, but she is now home and recovering. Hopefully she'll get herself back to 100% and we'll be able to see our feisty Pam Palmer again.
Exactly. I have an announcement. Today is my birthday, many of you all know, and I'm just thrilled to be here. Had a lot of things in my life that have caused some concern, including breast cancer, and then recently a bad illness. So thank you. This is so great to be able to share my birthday with my family here at UUCOV. I bought a cake, and it says, "Happy birthday, everyone." So for all of your beautiful lives, thank you, and I hope you'll join us for cake afterward.
Happy birthday to Jean. And Fran, you know how much we'll miss you. And Lynn, if you're watching from home, we miss you, and we wish you all the very best, being closer with your family, both of you. May the love of this community hold all who need love and care. May the light of our community shine on the broken places of the world. May we never look back away when we are needed. May those who are grieving be comforted. May those who are tired find rest. May the broken places be healed. May those who are filled with joy and laughter be abundant. The first reading brings to my mind our recently departed friend, Rosemary Hagan. It's called Incarnation for Ariel by Reverend Victoria Safford, who's a wonderful writer if you can ever get one of her books. But it is plain hell, says a woman 1,000 years old, whom I know and love, a woman old enough to speak with some authority on matters of the body. She isn't sick so much as frail, a fragile paper casing of her former formidable self, brittle, broken here and there, and fading physically away. But the spirit, I know she believes she doesn't have one, but something blazes out of her. Something fierce and wild rages out of those eyes. Something that can warm you or scorch you if you get too close. Something shining, and more so all the time, with every day she ages. Even in the way she speaks of getting old, so bitingly, bitterly, she becomes more of herself. She's a chrysalis, and as the shell disintegrates, the animal itself emerges. All power and dangerous fire. In her case, though, it is the anima, of course, I see emerging. I can see this woman's soul. On days when she is feeling strong, we argue about this. Where does the body end and the woman herself begin? It's hard to tell because body and soul are of a seamless substance, and my friend is what she is. Funny, clear, angry, determined, tired, brilliant, alive, because her 99-year-old body is all of these things. This is a person whose infirmities will not be cured. She is as able and as youthful now as she is ever going to be. There is no romanticizing pain, yet part of her is healed and whole, it seems. Not placid, never resigned. She is mad as hell and sometimes sad, yet she moves with a certain authenticity in her antique skeleton. She breathes her shallow and defiant breaths with respect for inevitable circumstances, neither acquiescent nor violently restricting. The Quakers at one time had a custom of greeting one another, not with our rhetorical, "How are you?" but with a different, more demanding question. How is it with thy spirit? This is what I want to ask her now, if I can find some words that she will hear. How is it with thy spirit and with thy body, soul, and mind? I ask because I cannot tell. I can't possibly tell by merely looking at you, friend, and I really want to know. From deep in here, in this bone house where I dwell alone, I wish to touch and know you deep in there, still beautiful. This is our meditation time. Please join me in 1 minute of silent meditation, thought, or prayer. Nice. Our second reading is from one of my favorite poets, Mary Oliver. It's called The Gift. I wanted to thank the mockingbird for the vigor of his song. Every day, he sang from the rim of the field while I picked blueberries or just idled in the sun. Every day, he came fluttering by to show me, and why not, the white blossoms in his wings. So one day, I went there with a small machine and played some songs of Mahler. The mockingbird stopped singing. He came close, and he seemed to listen. Now when I go down to the field, a little Mahler spills through the sputters of his song. How happy I am, lounging in the light, listening as the music floats by. And I give thanks also for my mind, that thought of giving a gift. And mostly, I'm grateful that I take this world so seriously. Our second hymn is number 163 in the Teal hymnal, For the Earth Forever Turning. All 4 short verses. Please rise in body or spirit as you're able. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not? Oh, it's in the gray. Oh, sorry. It seems like a teal hymnal. So. Our sermon today will be given by our dear friend, Dick Smith. Dick was born in Akron, Ohio, and grew up about 5 miles from Barbara. But their paths didn't cross until they met at the University of Akron. After graduating as an electrical engineer with a commission in the Air Force Reserves, Dick went to work for RCA in New Jersey. But 6 months later, he received his orders to report for duty in the U.S. Air Force. He was assigned as a project officer at Eglin Air Force Base in Florida. Dick and Barbara were married during Dick's 2-year tour of duty there. After the Air Force, the engineering world beckoned, and the new couple left the Florida Panhandle for southern New Jersey and back to RCA, where Dick worked for 8 years. Early on, their 2 children, Judy and David, were born. Then they moved to Framingham, Massachusetts, where they settled for 18 years. There they became active UUs, serving on various committees and on the governing board of the Framingham UU Church. Wanting to try out a more rural life, Dick and Barbara moved to Harvard, Massachusetts, but kept all of their Framingham affiliations. They both retired in 1997, and in 2000, they moved back to Ohio to help care for their 4 aging parents. They also bought a small home in Venice, Florida, that they visited whenever they could get away. They were delighted to find that a brand new UU church was just getting started in Venice, and they became early enthusiastic members. In 2005, they sold their Ohio home and purchased a permanent home in Venice. Dick was elected to the Board of Trustees as vice president, and he served as UUCOV president from 2006 to 2008. Please welcome Dick Smith.
Thank you, Eileen, and good morning, everybody, on this beautiful day. I've always been fascinated with the fact that even very early human beings created art and music, no matter their culture or geographical location on this planet. So when I learned from Dave Lyon that he was seeking people to fill the pulpit this summer, I volunteered to deliver a talk about beauty, a subject I think a lot about. And I had delivered a sermon on that subject here at UUCOV in 2009. So this talk starts with some of the ideas from that sermon and fills in with the last 15 years or further experiences and reflections. Let's begin with the dictionary definition of beauty. A delightful quality associated with harmony of form, of color, excellence, or craftsmanship, truthfulness, originality, or another property, a quality or feature that is most effective, gratifying, or telling. Wow, that definition nicely covers it. We all believe that we know beauty when we see it, or perhaps when we feel it, or even hear it, actually. But we've also observed others genuinely appreciating something that we do not. Or we ourselves are overcome with a profound sense of beauty, while others around us seem indifferent. Beauty really does appear to be in the eye of the beholder. But are there other considerations? Is beauty appreciated only when we already feel good? Does our appreciation ride up and down with our mood swings or our life circumstances? Can beauty be prejudiced, for good or bad, by prior knowledge? Is it influenced by our predispositions, like right or left brain dominance, or a scientific or cultural orientation, this kind of thing? Let's look at some examples. Our friend Stan in our Northern UU church had a beautiful operatic style singing voice. Everybody knew this because he had the amusing habit of breaking into song during conversation, making up a tune to go what he was saying. Perceiving his underlying talent, his friends persuaded him to try out for our church choir. The choir kept us abreast of Stan's progress, and he soon learned to stay on key with other singers, but he had this horrendous problem with meter. He had trouble keeping time with the music. That was his thing. But the choir master and other members patiently tried to teach Stan that some of the notes could not just come out at any random time. At long last, he got, he took some singing lessons actually. And then at last he kind of got rhythm, so to speak. So later I attended a wedding between two close friends where Stan sang Ave Maria. Now that is a little jaded, I've heard it so many times, but I was moved almost to tears to hear Stan's voice, so sonorous and under control. Perhaps a music critic might have found a few mistakes, but I know how hard Stan had worked to uncage his talent, and that piece was beautiful to me. So perhaps there is a link somewhere between genuine appreciation and beauty. In the movie version of the play Shirley Valentine, Shirley is an ordinary pushing 50, underappreciated housewife, leaves her demanding husband for a 2-week vacation on a Greek island. There, she is wooed by a smooth-talking Greek restaurant owner, Costas. Now, promising not to make love to her, Costas convinces her to take a ride with him on the sea in his brother's fishing boat. As they circle the island, the handsome Greek suggests they go for a swim. Shirley at first demurs, not having brought along a bathing suit. But as they circle the island, Costas takes off his shirt. And so Shirley quickly strips to the buff and dives into the Aegean. Afterwards, she remarks that she doesn't understand how Costas can find her attractive. What with her flabby body, stretch marks, and all. And Costas replies in his halting English, "Your stretch marks are beautiful because they show that you are alive. They are a part of you." The beholder thing again, we sometimes just find beauty when we want to find it. Now, Joe is another northern friend. And he dropped into a mutual friend's house one day when we were visiting there with a mutual friend. He had just become engaged, and Corinne, his new fiancée, was with him. They went on and on about how happy they were, where they had been, what they were doing. I remember the occasion vividly, and so do they actually. And because at that time, I thought everything they see, hear, or touch right now is beautiful to them. Sticky paper. I believe that even a single incidence of great beauty can influence an entire lifetime. A personal example, back in the late 90s, I had purchased an inexpensive nylon string guitar, thinking I would learn some chords and then see what I could do. I was a fan of the flamenco music of the Spaniard Carlos Montoya. So I acquired some tutorial music in that genre to try it out. Around then, Barb and I learned that the famous Spanish guitarist Andres Segovia was going to play at Boston Symphony Hall, and we lived in that area then. So we purchased tickets and attended. This was a game changer for me. Using an ordinary, non-amplified nylon string guitar, sitting alone on a stool in the massive stage of Symphony Hall. Maestro Segovia led off a guitar transcription of a Bach violin partita, the first time I'd heard any classical music played on a guitar. Well, I was blown away by the beauty of this simple instrument in such expert hands. Between pieces, I told Barbara, I have to do that. So I found a teacher and began lessons, but could not really sustain them until retirement, when I again took lessons from professional guitarists. Here in Florida, I belong to the Guitar Sarasota Players Group and have played each season in their public ensembles, trying my best to contribute to the overall sound. It's a very rewarding endeavor. During a respite from a convention that Barb was attending, she and I visited the Phillips Art Collection in Washington, D.C. A special showing of a set of Renoir originals based on the life along the Seine River was on display. Now, the highlight of the exhibit is the painting at different distances, the famous Luncheon of the Boating Party. I view the painting at different distances angles and read the accompanying descriptions. Turns out that several of the interesting characters in this large, intricate painting were modeled by friends of Renoir. The other paintings are, of course, also beautiful. I notice a common style and think I might be able to recognize Impressionist paintings when I see them, but I'm still not very sure. I marvel at and I'm glad we visited, but I just, couldn't relate that much. One of Barbara's hobbies has been furniture painting. She acquires unpainted furniture and lets go with her instincts and paints designs on the furniture. Now, fortuitously, we were invited to a wedding in central Massachusetts that was occurring near the Snow Farm, which is a large rural property with some barns and things, buildings that have been converted over to summer art instruction. Now, you could attend workshops in glass blowing, log carving with a chainsaw, welding steel pieces together, and by the way, just plain old painting. Watercolor or oil, take your pick. Accommodations were very minimal, but that is where I acquired some watercolor painting instruction that got me interested in painting. The first day we painted botanicals. Basically, those are still life flower arrangements. The next day we went outside and painted landscapes. Now, mine was a disaster. Barbara told me they really weren't up to snuff. I replied, well, what do you expect from a botanicals man? But I hung in for the week, trying to paint. When we returned home, I acquired the necessary supplies and started to paint using tutorial books and other material. I acquired the necessary supplies then and started to paint. And I took lessons later here in Florida. So now I have a collection, so to speak, of my own paintings. Along a different tack here, Barbara's cousin David is an architect who worked on Boston's Big Dig, the infamous Central Artery project in Boston. One day he used a special pass to get my family beyond the barriers into the actual construction site of the new Ted Williams Tunnel. He enthusiastically showed us the cofferdam. Now, that's a round barrier that was holding back the water so the construction of the downstream end of the tunnel could proceed. That was really something to watch, I'll tell you. Afterwards, we drove under Boston Harbor through the Callahan Tunnel and into the Logan Airport complex, where we could get a look at Dave's pride and joy. the ventilator building at the airport at the end of the new tunnel. Now, most people would class this structure as pretty ugly. All concrete, windowless, boxy, strange protrusions, which do nothing aesthetically. But to Dave, this building was a creation of sheer beauty. The building was designed to do a job, to rid the new tunnel of vehicle exhaust, gases, and to flush in fresh air. The intake comes in over here, Dave told us. Giant fans push the exhaust gases out here. We had to prove to the environmental people that the design would not add to the air pollution near the airport. Now, of course, Dave is proud, and yes, the building is beautiful because it is completely functional. Think about that a little bit. Maybe take a look at it on Google Earth, because it's got a good picture on Google Earth. Now, I take a walk, used to this is, of course, take a walk through Woodsey Park in Newton, Massachusetts, most lunch hours for a whole year and don't see one single bird. Then one day in the spring, there was a sign at the park entrance posted by a local birdwatchers club listing the 80 or so varieties of birds that were spotted there during the past 2 weeks. So I'm flabbergasted that I was so lost in thought or conversation during my week that I didn't even notice the birds. Time of day be darned, there should have been some birds there. So perhaps part of the nurturing of sense of beauty is the ability to notice things at various levels. Okay, so how can we find more beauty in our lives? A generally positive life situation is a big help, but we can't become engaged to be married every day to make us feel like Joe and Corrine. And it's hard to open up to beauty when we're angry or sad. Prejudice can indeed be an obstacle to the appreciation of beauty. I didn't used to like Frank Sinatra because I associated him with organized crime. And friends have told me they don't like to watch Jane Fonda in a movie because they don't like her politics. But prejudice could also aid appreciation. I found Stan's solo of Ave Maria to be very beautiful because I knew how hard he had worked to be able to sing it. So perhaps the single most important factor in finding beauty is simply familiarity. My own experiences bear this out for me. I tend to find more beauty in music, functional designs, visual art, and in nature than I do in, say, poetry. As I explore new areas, though, beauty begins to surface. I'm just starting to get more into art, but I do enjoy viewing it. I know more of its underlying beauty will emerge as I see it more and more of it. Learning about the technical side of it, value, chroma, saturation of things, does also the feelings I get when I view a painting. So I would venture that others could also bring more beauty into their lives by proactively pursuing it. Even at a beginner level, there is potential for beauty in almost anything. It's now time to hear from my devil's advocates. I always think I had a philosophy teacher say that we always had to have a devil's advocate. We wrote a paper, we had to write a contrary one to sort of give the other side, so to speak. So let's hear from my devil's advocates. Barb's and my longtime friend Pat is a former high school English teacher. She appears to be a classic right bird person, sensitive, keenly perspective, broadly understanding, a good mother, and a great friend. She's a big picture person with no interest in detail whatsoever. To Pat, all science is boring, and others could deal with math. She hated that. Since our families are close friends, we often went hiking together, and I have on occasion discussed the subject of beauty with her. She is my devil's advocate. She takes in the beauty of the woods in one giant gulp, and it inspires her. It inspires me in sort of the same way, but I always want to know more. What kind of a tree is that? What's that stuff growing out of it? And so on. She says knowing that would detract from the beauty. I would say that more knowledge can't be a liability. It always adds, never subtracts. She disagrees, but I must admit, she does make a splendid case for deliberately not being able to tell one bird from another. She could care less, and she still obviously has much beauty in her life. Our friends, Barb and Dave, are both orchid enthusiasts, and we all visited a large orchid garden on the island of Barbados while going ashore there from a Caribbean cruise. So as we strolled around, took pictures, Dave patiently explained the features of the various varieties of orchids. But it was overwhelming to me because I just had no knowledge of them. They were pretty. I was glad we visited the garden. So the while of us are lounging around in our home when I'm hit with the idea of asking them their opinions on beauty. I asked them both if they would appreciate the beauty of orchids with the same passion if they couldn't tell an orchid from a dandelion. Their answers were simultaneous to the microsecond. Dave said no, and Barb said yes. Is this an example of left brain and right brain or what? So now I have another devil's advocate. So here is my grand conclusion. Beauty is certainly in the eye of the beholder, and great quantities of it are accessible to everyone just because they're alive. But this talk is about how to bring more beauty into our lives. I concluded earlier that familiarity was the key. We achieve familiarity through curiosity. If we are curious, we will notice more, and thus we will investigate. As we investigate, we will learn. And as we learn, we will become familiar, and we will perceive harmony, form, function, and excellence, and be gratified by their richness. As we said, this is beauty. Let's go for it.
Thank you, Dick. Gave us a lot to think about. Okay, our third hymn is Spirit of Life, number 123. Please notice on the screen that I've taken the liberty of changing a word in this hymn. Instead of me, we're going to try singing us, which makes it, rather than a personal prayer, a communal one. It wasn't my idea. It was the idea of Reverend Kimberly Debus, who is a freelance minister who writes a very interesting blog. Anyway, I liked the idea, so when it's on the screen, instead of saying me, you'll say us, unless you hate the idea, and then you can still say me. So, if you can rise in body and spirit, we'll see what we can do.
Sing in our hearts.
We extinguish the chalice here that it might glow gently in our hearts. May it light your path as you leave this place. May it guide your way until we are together again. And our benediction is by Eric Williams. The world is too beautiful to be praised by only one voice. May you have the courage to sing your part. The world is too broken to be healed by only one set of hands. May you have the courage to use your gifts. May you go in peace.